Hello and welcome to the Trinity of I series. My name is Cherie Hudson and I'm going to get a little bit into the topic by introducing myself in this way. I am a #1 best-selling author, world-renowned speaker, and spiritual leader. The topic that we're going to get into is focus on the possibilities. And the Trinity of I, so today is Tuesday and it's Trinity Tuesday, and I wanted to get this out to you. And the Trinity of I really focuses on the research that I have been doing over the years and the three qualities that kept bubbling up over the years were inspiration, integrity, and influence. And that's what the Trinity of I is about. Really taking a look at these leadership qualities and unpacking them so that we can actually get into the qualities and learn the behaviors that exemplify that particular quality. Last time we talked about inspiration and we got into adversity, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So let me go ahead and at this time share with you my PowerPoint slide deck that I've actually worked up for us. Once I go ahead and get it to show, there we go. So taking a look, last time we talked about inspiration. We actually defined it, really got into it, and then we took a look at one of the behaviors, one out of the three, in regards to inspiration leadership quality. We talked about adversity and failure and how those are incredible teachable moments that really, and when we look at it as a lesson or a blessing, it catapults us and it catapults our leadership too as well. We start to get very expansive in regards to learning from these adverse and challenging moments. Today, we're going to really get into the concept or the behavior of focus on the possibilities. That takes it to another level. And the next time that we get together on Trinity Tuesday, we're really going to explore feel who you are, because that's what we do as human beings. We actually feel each other. And when we are in leadership, and we are in leadership at all the time, personally as well as professionally, how people feel our leadership message is profound. And that's the one thing I also want to make a point here, is that we are all leaders. We lead personally and we lead professionally too as well. The key thing here is that we lead ourselves first, because when we are in integrity and congruent with our leadership message, then others resonate with us or to us, people that we attract. All right, so I want to start off before we get into this topic and talk about Abraham Lincoln. He was an incredible leader, and he actually went through many adversities in his life, from losing a loved one to actually had a nervous breakdown. And there was at one point in his life where nobody really liked him, and how he turned himself around and the things that he did in regards to focus on the possibilities. I love his quote when he talks about most folks are as happy as they make their minds up to be. And that's looking at the possibilities, even if we don't feel it at the moment. But looking at the vision of what's possible is where we truly desire to be, especially as leaders and as we lead our lives. So today we're going to look at focus on the possibilities. I remember being in a leadership role where we had to do a project, a team project. And there have been many, but there's this one that I really want to focus on. And I took on the role. And when I was in that quote unquote title or position, I wanted things to look a certain way. I set the expectations. I set the vision. I set everything into motion, right? Notice the I set it all. And what had happened was that I became limiting in that vision. It had to look a certain way. I wasn't open to the possibilities. Analogy for that is being a freight train and going down the railroad tracks. When I became rigid, controlling, that actually limited the level of my success. Mind you, as a freight train, did I have success? Yes, I did. Could it have been more expansive and more profound and reaching many areas more than I could imagine? Absolutely. I wasn't into the possibilities. I was only looking at it from a very one-dimensional aspect. And that control and rigidity and holding things tightly to me ran many people over, ran many relationships over. And also, I didn't see the fullness of what was possible and the success that could have been. I remember Audrey Hepburn making this quote, and it's, "Impossible is I am possible." And that's true, because when I learned to let go and to release control and to allow the flow to happen of conversations, of others' input, of others' voices, it took my career to a whole nother level when I sat in inquiry and asked the question, how do you see this from where you sit? What do you mean by that, so that I can understand? How could that work in this project from what you see? Because when those blinders limit us, it cuts off the flow of creative energy and imagination. When we are in the inquiry and start to ask the question, the energy the energy starts to flow. And this mind or minds that all come together is absolutely fascinating because of what can be created and what's possible. I remember that I went to Covey seminars, Franklin Covey. Really love Stephen Covey's work. There's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The book is absolutely profound and has been translated into many, many languages. And one of the habits talks about seek to understand before being understood. And that really focuses on the possibilities, because when you're understanding where people are coming from, when you are really delving into the possibilities versus I have to be right, you have to understand me, wow, projects take off in so many different directions. And while you can hold the vision, be open to the inquiry of what is possible. When there's naysayers or devil's advocate or heretics, really listen. What can they contribute and what is their input? Because when we look at it from that perspective and really glean in all of this great information, we never know where we could land and could far exceed the vision that we have created for the project. I want to take this into my personal life and talk about being rigid and controlling, and it had to look a certain way. This actually happened when I went through a divorce and ended up living in a room with a friend of mine who I've known for about 15, 16 years. However, she has been good friends with my ex-husband for a lifetime. And Well, I was very rigid. When I moved in, she invited me. She says, hey, you know, you're going through a rough time. Why don't you come and live with me? Remodeled my place. And there I was in this room about, 15 by 15 maybe. I felt this is where I was going to be. And while it took months and about a year or so, things started to unravel during that time. She kept asking me, kept upping my rent, asking me when I was going to move out. All of these different things start to occur. But I was holding on because this is where I thought I could only afford. This is where I thought I could only live, in this room. And while it became a very toxic situation, I didn't see what was possible. When I started to talk to people and talk with others, even though my parents' trust was in litigation, I didn't realize as the executor that I could buy property. My brother was living in a home that my parents had, and I was living in this room. And for months, I kept holding on and controlling the situation and not wanting to let go until I had these conversations of these mentors and teachers that were saying to me, Cherie, look at what's possible. And I'm like, what's possible? Well, as an executor, you have access to these funds and you can purchase your own home that's equivalent to your brother's. I'm like, wow. Even the attorneys were floored by this possibility. And I did. And now I live in my own home in a beautiful place. If I didn't let go and be open and start to ask questions and involve my mentors and involve my coaches and speak to others, I would not have been able to even consider the possibility of where I am right now. Went beyond my wildest dreams. Focusing on the possibilities, being open and expansive, asking questions, being an inquiry really helped move me and catapult me in ways that I could not have imagined. Not only personally, also professionally too as well. Really brought in many different wildest successes that I'm totally excited about. One of the things that maybe we attempt to control, become rigid, and hold things tight to us is the fear of failing. And I know I touched on that in our last session. Let me also expand on that too. I want to take the acronym FAIL, and I want to share with you another possibility of looking at fail. Fail and intentionally learn. When we are in the mode of growing and learning and developing and experiencing those teachable moments, those are the opportunities for what's possible. I love this little guy that I want to share with you. I thought he was so darling in his superhero outfit because we're all superheroes. We're all inspiring just because we breathe. And the quote that goes with it is so perfect. If someone says you can't, that's their limits, not yours. Because the world is full of possibilities when you are open to being vulnerable, teachable, and willing to learn. And so as we take a look at our inspiration quality and looking at and considering the 3 behaviors that fall under that quality, last session we talked about adversity and failure and looking at them as blessings and lessons. And today we talked about focus on the possibilities, to really open ourselves up to what the universe has to offer. I never imagined my career and where it is right now, way beyond my wildest dreams, being open and expansive. In our next session of Trinity of I series, Tuesday, Trinity Tuesday, we're going to look at Feel who you are. When we want to attract the people into our lives that support us, move us forward, resonate with our message, again with leadership, we start with ourself first. When we have all of that aligned, people resonate with the message of our leadership of who we are. I want to thank you today for joining me in Trinity Tuesday. And I'll leave with this message by Mother Teresa, because as leaders, we do this personally and professionally. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples, because we touch people every single day. Those touches, those influences, those impact goes far beyond what we think about. Our outreach, our reach is incredibly profound. So with that, I want to thank you so very much for being with me today. If you need to contact me, the number is 424-404-7335. Check us out on our website at trinityofi.com. So go forward and lead with inspiration, being okay with adversity and failure and looking at them as lessons, and focus on what's possible. Have a great day.